Remember, Meghan and Harry promised to keep a low profile upon their return to the United Kingdom, while we all looked forward to celebrating, of course, the wonderful Platinum Jubilee in honour of our wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. So did they keep their promise? Or as ever, is the thoughts of the United Kingdom already divided? Let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil. Sean here in the very heart of London. An exhausted, sort of moment for me right now. As I say, we've had a long day with Trooping of the Colour and everything else. Don't know about you, but, when it's warm and everything like that in crowds, you do kind of feel afterwards, don't you? There's two things you want. Decent cup of tea and a sit down. Am I right? I know people say, that old croc, what's he doing? But, when you've been standing a long time, it can be a long time reporting. And as I say, it was good to get in the crowds, let me tell you. The crowds really enjoyed themselves. It was lovely to see so many people genuinely happy, moved, and there for the historical occasion. It's interesting, isn't it? I was talking to a host on Fox News, the beautiful Martha McCullum recently, and I was sort of saying, look, we are living in a moment of history, because truly, you and I won't see this again, which is a frightening thought. But when will the next Platinum Jubilee be? It's interesting, isn't it, on a bigger debate. But what about the two people that they invited back that so many people over here in the United Kingdom wish they hadn't? And I'm speaking for quite a few, in fact, when we did a Vox Pops out in the crowd. As I say, Harry and Meghan decided they wanted to keep it low-key, low profile, but some might say that that was impossible, of course. Now, we're being impartial here on the show, and we're telling you what we know. Now, there were, of course, long lenses trained on many windows at Buckingham Palace yesterday, as one can imagine. And of course, they didn't get their disappointment, because Meghan Markle was seen first at the side window, shushing down the kids belonging to Mike Tyndall, right? And another young lady, Savannah, in fact. But of course, it was a sweet moment, many might say. She was just trying to make them be quiet and focus on what was an historical moment. But then, of course, as it got a little bit further into the day, and Harry and Meghan were seen leaving Buckingham Palace, while they weren't invited onto the prestigious balcony alongside the rest of the working royals, they did manage, of course, because one might say that they wanted some publicity, to wind down these side windows, which is a mistake, in fact. And let me explain the reasons why. When you're a member of the British monarchy, particularly when you're travelling in a moving vehicle, everything is armour plated, whatever you think, including the windows. You cannot penetrate those windows. So for Meghan Markle to wind them down because she was simply too warm in the car, a little bit strange because it's air conditioned. I'll just leave that there. But of course, this resulted in many people being able to wave, cheer, and take her picture, which subsequently went around the world on social media. And as one person pointed out, it's only a short drive out of London, so they could have waited at least until they got away from the crowds. But as ever, I have to leave you to debate that particular option. How did this go down with the rest of the senior royals and courtiers? Well, let me tell you, at this point, they are, shall we say, holding fire to see exactly what else could happen on this bound to be momentous trip so far. But as ever, I would suggest that we haven't seen the last of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, at least getting some of the limelight, whether they claim to want it or not. Now, finally, I'd love to know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.